Great Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's NFL Week 13 recap. I'm Mason Speski, your host here. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible here. Pretty busy day lined up for me today, that's for sure. So I'm going to try to go through this one here as quickly as possible. So without further ado, here we go. First things first, Seahawks and the Cowboys. Cowboys won that game by a final score of 41-35. This was an interesting one all the way throughout. Almost predicted the upset in this one for sure. Looked like for a while I was going to predict the upset there in that one for a while because Seattle played really well early. They hung in there till the end, and then Dallas just took control at the very end. Great effort by Dallas. Dallas proves they're legitimate. They are 9-3 with a chance to take control or tie the NFC East this week when they play Philly. That's going to be a massive game with massive implications. It's one of my favorite rivalries in the NFL, so I definitely can't wait for Sunday Night Football this week. As for Seattle, they're 6-6. They're back to square one. They head out to San Francisco. Those two losses to the Rams really killed them. They're going to have a long way back to the playoffs looking at their upcoming schedule. It's in San Francisco. Then they come home and play Philly on Monday night. Then they make a trip down to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. Pittsburgh at home, and then at Arizona. Once you get past Philly, if you're Seattle, that schedule clears up a little bit, considering Tennessee, how they've been, and Pittsburgh, how they played this week against Arizona, unfortunately, and you typically beat Pittsburgh, unfortunately. And then Arizona, that could be a trap game for the last game of the year. I'm just throwing it out there now. That could be a trap game for sure. But Seattle, these next 2 weeks are going to be tough for them, but they have the chance to win out, still go 9-8, and get in, possibly, if they hold on. Although I think they could possibly beat Philly at home. I really do. I think they could possibly beat Philly at home. Moving on past that game now, we're going to go to the AFC East now. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins. They defeated the Commanders this week 45-15 in our nation's capital. Not a whole lot to say about this one. Miami, we all know how amazing they are against not-so-good teams. It's going to start to matter now how amazing they are against good teams. They play the Titans and the Jets coming up. Those would be two easy wins that would put you at 11-4. But after that, they play the Cowboys at home, at the Ravens, Buffalo. Those last three games, I think, will truly tell people what kind of team Miami is going into the playoffs and what kind of team they are for sure. So Miami is definitely interesting. The Commanders' secondary is horrible. The whole Commanders team is horrible. That team's going to get a whole new everything this offseason, it looks like. I think they're unfortunately going to fire the coach, Ron Rivera. I like him a lot, but I think he's going to go. Same with the GM, unfortunately. I think they're both very good, but I think they're going to both be selling the door this offseason. New owner, Josh Harris, is going to want to do it his way, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think, though, Sam Howell has a chance to be the future. I was reading an article about the Commanders yesterday. I think it was by the Washington Post, or it was by somebody, AP, I forget, I'm sorry. But it said, I would imagine that Josh Harris was in his box on Sunday, looking over at the opposite sideline and seeing Mike McDaniel and seeing all that he has done and envying to himself, thinking, get me one of those. Meaning, get him a head coach like Mike McDaniel. And that's what every team wants. Every team wants to get a head coach like Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. But other than Sean McVay in 2021-2022, how many Super Bowls has Kyle Shanahan won as the head coach of the 49ers? 0. How many Super Bowls has Mike McDaniel won as head coach of the Dolphins? 0. In fact, I know it's his second year. Only his second year. But how many playoff wins does Mike McDaniel have as the head coach of the Dolphins? You guessed it. 0. He went 9-8 last year and barely got in. And this year, he's going to have a good year because Buffalo's down. But how far can this team go? I don't know. The point being is, you can get an offensive mind all you want and say all you want, but you might not get a Super Bowl out of it. Yes, Andy Reid won. Let's look at the past 5 Super Bowl head coaches. 2023, Andy Reid. Offensive mind, none of his people are like Shanahan. Like, they're his own way, and that way wins Super Bowls. 2022, Sean McVay, yes, that was like the lone offensive like guru as of late, of that like young offensive minded guru as a head coach who's won a Super Bowl. 2021, Bruce Arians, yeah, he's a little older, but he's still offensive minded, so yeah. 2020, Andy Reid, same thing, genius. 2019, Bill Belichick, probably going to get fired or retire after this year. It's probably his last year in New England. Did you hear me say Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, or somebody elite, other than like an elite young offensive mind other than Sean McVay once on that list? No, you didn't. Yes, those coaches make you good. However, have they won Super Bowls? The answer is no. And that's what I think people need to think about. That's why I think Bieniemy would make a good head coach a lot of places. Yes, he has not done the best this year in Washington, but he has improved Sam Howell. He went into Denver and won. He played toe-to-toe with Philly twice. And it'll be interesting to see how they play when they play San Francisco on the 31st. So give this man a chance to work with Howell, because Howell has improved significantly. So that's just me. I think he's the best head coach in Canada out there, to be honest. But that's just me. But Dolphins look good against crappy teams, and the Commanders are a crappy team. That's all I have to say about that. Falcons beat the Jets 13-8 in New Jersey. This one was just blah. It was what we all knew it was going to be a defensive game. Jets' offense is awful. They need a backup quarterback, and I think they now know this. I think they need to go out and draft somebody for sure. Obviously, we have Aaron Rodgers. But like in the third or fourth round, you guys got to get somebody. You really do. Because this season's just been awful. It's just been awful. It really has. Poor Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. I mean, I feel horrible for Garrett Wilson. I wasn't a fan of him during the 2022 draft process. But I hurt for the guy now. His career, I feel like, is just being wasted. It's a shame. One day, I hope this guy gets the chance to break out again, because everyone was so high on him this year. And he just can't put up big numbers because of the lack of the quarterback position. So I feel bad for him. Somebody that I don't feel bad for, and I'm going to probably end up starting him in my fantasy team this week because he plays a terrible ranked defense, is Drake London. He has done literally nothing this year. This has been worse than last year for him. I mean, I thought he could make a significant improvement and jump this year in fantasy, and he has done none of that. In all seriousness. So I don't feel one bit bad for him. I mean, he could have had a breakout game. He did nothing. Same with Bijan Robinson. He did nothing. I mean, he's not good this year. But he's done nothing. Atlanta's good. Like, they have weapon or talent. Pitts, London, Robinson. But they need a head coach, like, that knows how to utilize it. Because sometimes I don't think Arthur Smith utilizes his talent the best he can. And they need a better quarterback. Desmond Ritter's not it. And I'm going to get into more on the 2022 draft class once we get to the San Francisco-Philly game. So, yeah. This one was probably the worst game of the week. This was basically what it's like when you put Iowa... This is like the NFL version of Iowa versus Northwestern. The Chargers defeated the Patriots 6-0 on Sunday at Gillette. This one was hilarious if you don't like the Patriots. Sad if you're a football fan or you do like the Patriots. Gillette Stadium, 10 minutes before kickoff, was half empty. Half empty. Tickets in the lower level, like one row below the sideline, or one row from the field at kickoff, or 5 minutes before kickoff, were selling for $12. The Patriots are over. They're done. This is just a sad offense. The Chargers are awful too. I was one of the only people that were saying this year the Chargers have the potential to be not very good. And guess what? They're a horrible, no good, very bad football team. I think we all know this. The Chargers are pathetic. They only scored 6 points against New England. They have Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler. Pathetic. They're lucky they got this one, but they're going nowhere this year, so who cares? As for the Patriots, now this is a long talk we have to have about how sad things are in Foxborough. Your defense is good. To hold Herbert and Eckler and this explosive Chargers offense and Kellen Moore 6 points is good. The defense is good. Bill Belichick is good with defense. However, this offense is so bad. Everything needs fixed. And these are the consequences. And I said Belichick's good with defense. That's about all he's good with. Because he's not a very good GM. And I have a message for the Patriots and Patriots fans. These are the consequences of not drafting a receiver early. And these are the consequences of having not good coaching that screws up the receivers. Or the quarterback, I'm sorry. Quarterback. Because look at Mac Jones in 2021. He looked good. He had a better 2021 than Trevor Lawrence. He had Josh McDaniels that year. As soon as Josh McDaniels left for Vegas, he got those Patricia and Judds, and that experiment looks horrible. But him under Patricia and Judds is looking better right now than him under Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is an awful coach. He's always angry about something. And I know I'm getting angry here, but I'm just ranting. I'm sorry. But he's always angry about something too. The Patriot way is over. The game is past Bill Belichick. You always get the worst of Belichick in press conferences. And these Patriots assistants, McDaniels, Patricia, Judge, they always have a sense of arrogance and we don't want to talk to you. That comes from Bill Belichick. This Patriots team is right into the core. It needs everything new. Things are ugly right now in Foxborough. They need to just tank and hope Carolina gets hot so that they can get a top pick. I should do a whole separate video on this topic because the downfall of the Patriots is real. But hey, these are the consequences. Like I said, these are the consequences of drafting no-namers. City Sal, Jake Andrews, they were 305th and 306th on my draft board. They got picked in the third round by New England. Bill Belichick's the most confusing guy with draft cap picks. And that has ruined this team. This team is garbage. That's all I have to say about it for now. But they need a new everything. This team needs cleaned out completely. So, yeah. Anyway, though, now down the line here, no AFC North teams other than the Steelers, but we recapped them in the postgame, so which hopefully is coming out soon. Horrible game for Pittsburgh for sure. No AFC North teams played 1 o'clock games. We're going to fast forward now. We're going to take you guys down to H-Town, where the Houston Texans defeated the Denver Broncos 22-17 Sunday afternoon in Houston. A couple quick takeaways from this one. Stroud didn't have the best of days. I mean, he's done much better, but the Texans still found a way to win. That just shows you that the effort in this team winning is beyond C.J. Stroud. Put Davis Mills in that offense for a game. See how he does. I hope he throws 5 touchdowns so that everybody realizes that C.J. Stroud is good because he has good coaching. You put him with that Carolina staff, he probably does the same things Bryce Young does. And you put Bryce Young in that Houston staff, he probably does the same things that C.J. Stroud's doing right now. It's all because of coaching. The San Francisco system makes you good. It might not win you Super Bowls, but it makes you a contender. Or at least not win Super Bowls yet. But Houston's good without Stroud. And they're good too without Tank Dell. He's out for the season, unfortunately. I have him in both my leagues. I had to cut him today. Sucks. Really like the guy, but I hope he gets better soon. But Nico Collins coming up big. Noah Brown. These Texans guys are legit. They really are. So, the Texans are a legit team, offense and defense. Congratulations to D'Amico. In all seriousness. Congratulations to him. For sure. Denver, you guys are good. 6-6. Started 1-5, you're now 6-6. It's not over yet in the Mile High City. It really isn't. I always said playoffs are going to be a tough ask this year. But for 2024, this team's going to be something. Russell Wilson didn't do bad. Yes, he threw that bad pick. But he didn't look awful. And that's important to think about. Because he does have potential. So just look at it this way. Denver, you're not in the same boat you were this time last year, and you're certainly not in the same boat as you were week 6. Things are getting better. Maybe it's not going to work out this year, but it will work out for you guys sooner rather than later. Next up, we got the Colts and the Titans. Colts barely won this one. I think it was 31-28 in overtime on a Michael Pittman Jr. walk-off touchdown. Couple quick tidbits on this one. Colts are good. They're 7-5, even without Richardson. And this is what I'm telling you when it comes to Stroud. So take out Levis here for a minute. Okay, we're going to take out Levis because he was picked in the second round. First round quarterbacks drafted by AFC South teams. 2 of them there were. C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Stroud to the Texans, Richardson to the Colts. Remember, Anthony Richardson was off to a hot start this year. However, he got hurt and he needed surgery. His season ended. Gardner Minshew came in as the backup. The Colts are still 7-5. You would think this is like a rebuilding team. They completely stunk last year. And they just lost their do-good quarterback for the season. You would think they're done. They're probably going to make the playoffs. They might actually make the playoffs. You know why? A guy by the name of Shane Steichen, head coach. Shane Steichen is proving how much good coaching matters in the NFL. He went into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. For crying out loud. Him and Stefanski are the only ones that can say they've done that this year. The Browns don't look good. We'll get to them later. But here's the thing. Coaching is everything. Look at how good they are. Because they have an offensive mind that is utilizing that offense. For sure. So Shane Steichen's going to be good. He's the real deal. Good job by the Colts there. And this is what I'm saying. C.J. Stroud is good. And don't get me wrong, I was so wrong on him in the draft. I ranked him 7th. I ranked him the third best in this class behind Young and Levis. He is the best quarterback in this class by far this year. But I think the MVP talk is a little bit ridiculous. But he's the rookie of the year for sure. He's the offensive rookie of the year. But Stroud is good this year because he has good coaching. Coaching is everything. That's all I'm going to say. That's why the Colts are good. As for the Titans, they're bad. They probably need a young offensive mind in there. So able the door. Get an offensive mind in there. Help Levis develop, and things will be good. That's what I have to say about that. But the Colts are looking good. Titans, yeah, not so much. It's all for 1 o'clock games there. Kansas City, they played. On to the NFC. Lions defeated the Saints 33-28 on Sunday afternoon in the Big Easy Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. Great effort, great win by Detroit. It's a shame they blew that 21-0 lead to make it close at the end there, but who cares? You guys got the job done. Detroit doesn't look like they did earlier this year. I think they have declined a little bit, unfortunately. However, that hurts too, especially now since Green Bay is hot. However, I think Detroit's still going to win this division easily. They're a good team right now. They're playing really well, so things are looking good in the Motor City. Great day by Branch. Great day by Gibbs. Great day by Laporta, especially Laporta. This Lions offense is explosive. This Lions offense is really good. It'll be interesting to see how far they go in the playoffs, for sure. Saints are struggling. The offense looked a little better this week, but I think you guys made a mistake with Derek Carr. Need somebody else. I don't know what to do if I'm the Saints. I really don't. They're 5-7 right now. Carolina's coming in there next week, so that's probably a good thing if you're a New Orleans fan. Definitely will be interesting times for sure in the Big Easy, so. Sorry about that. That's all I have to say about that. So that's all I have to say there. Sorry, I'm just thinking. Atlanta, we did. Carolina, Tampa, New Orleans, Arizona, Seattle, we did. Arizona, we did. There were a lot of teams on bye this week, believe it or not. Actually, I think we've just covered all the 1 o'clock games. So now, just like that, we're going to move into the 4 o'clock games here. First off, we're going to start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers winning by a final score of 21-18 over the Carolina Panthers. Just a couple quick things. Carolina sucks. They really do. Something is not right with this team. They went out there. They made all these high-priced acquisitions. And it means nothing. I thought they were going to be legit this year. They're not. They're nowhere near close to being legitimately competitive. You cannot blame all this on Bryce Young. He's an interim head coach. He's a special teams guy. The team is 1-11. Unfortunately, I do think the problems here come back to the GM and the owner, not the head coach. Frank Reich was a scapegoat. The owners and the GM are the problem. Fitterer has done nothing but screw that team. He is the worst possible thing to happen to that team. He's a knucklehead and a screwball. That's all I have to say about him. Ryan Poles owned him with that trade. Owned him. Steelers made a separate trade with Carolina. Carolina got DJ Johnson. We got Herbig and Darnell. Omar Khan owned him. He's so vulnerable with trades. Look at Sam Darnold, how that worked out. Look at Baker Mayfield, how that worked out. It all comes back to Scott Fitterer. He needs to be shown the door in Carolina. And David Tepper needs to admit that he's part of this problem. I look up to the guy. I'm a huge fan of David Tepper. One of my favorite owners in this league. I'm going to be going to the same university with the same degree as him. So the same University of Pittsburgh economics degree that's sitting in his office or hanging on his wall will someday be hanging on mine. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. So hopefully he wises up. So this team deserves better. This was not Frank Reich's fault. He was a scapegoat. This team needs a complete overhaul. That's all I have to say. Get somebody from the Shanahan coaching tree. That's all that's going to save them. They're screwed. They're horrible. As for Tampa, they're not much better. They may be 5-7, but they're worse than their record. Just like the Steelers. Both those teams are much worse than their actual records. So, that's all I have to say about that ordeal. They're both worse than their actual records. So, yeah. Rams defeated the Browns, I think, by a final score of like 34-19 on Sunday afternoon at SoFi City in LA. Or SoFi Stadium in LA. I'm sorry about that. Rams look good. They look much better than they did against the Steelers. Their past couple wins have been amazing. Seahawks. I meant to say, since the bye, they've looked amazing. Their bye was week 10. Going into that bye, they were 3-6. They have not lost since their bye. Seahawks beat them at home. Cardinals annihilated them at State Farm. And now they beat the Browns, who have a legitimately good defense. And they annihilated that defense. Very good job. Very good job by the Rams. This team has potential for a run here. Yes, it is a tough game this week in Baltimore. However, after that, it gets better. Commanders, Saints. Who did they play after? Commanders, Saints, at the Giants, at the 49ers. So really, their only tough games, or their only games they're probably going to lose, are this Sunday coming up in Baltimore, and the last game of the year in San Francisco. They could go 3-2 and be 9-8. I told you guys this team was going to be better than most people thought. And guess what? They are. They really are. They're looking good. Looking really good. As for the Browns, this team's overrated. 7-5. They need help on offense and defense both. The defense has not been good the past couple weeks. Something needs to change there on the defensive side of the ball, that's for sure. Offensively, though, wow. Everybody, it seems like, is getting hurt, unfortunately. That's a shame. Hopefully things get better soon for those players. Not so much the Browns, because I'm not a Browns fan. I'm a Steelers fan. So hopefully the Browns continue to lose, but those players heal up quick. And maybe the Browns will figure something out sooner rather than later. Next up, we have probably the biggest statement game of the week. 49ers defeated the Eagles 42-19 in Philly. A couple quick tidbits from this one. Actually, a fair amount. 49ers are the best team in the league. There's no doubt about it. When healthy, they truly are. They steamroll teams when they're the best team and when they're healthy. Philly went into Arrowhead and beat Kansas City. Philly goes home and plays San Francisco and they get annihilated. I'm telling you, this is the best team in the league when healthy. Ever since their bye, they've just destroyed teams. All of their wins, it feels like they've destroyed teams. Their only bad loss this year was to the Bengals. Like, terrible loss. Like, more than 10 points loss. They did lose to Cleveland, barely, because McCaffrey and Samuel were hurt. They did lose to, the Vikings, barely. Vikings probably got lucky there. And they did lose to Cincy. They didn't have Deebo Samuel in any of those games. He's a difference maker. He truly means everything to them. Purdy needs him. When this team is healthy, like I said, it's the best team in the league, and they proved it. Philly, they're good, but this is just not their year. They're explosive, but they need work. More so on defense than offense. But yeah, something needs to give in Philly. That's for sure. They need to get better. And they have a tough road ahead, for sure. And this is where I want to talk about the 2022 draft class of quarterbacks. So looking at these quarterbacks that were quote-unquote considered the top of the class, and the class was awful. This was not a good year to want a quarterback. Kenny Pickett, Pittsburgh, has not done very good. Desmond Ridder, Atlanta, has done pathetic. Malik Willis, Tennessee, awful. Brock Purdy, San Francisco, really good. Very good. However, if you trade places between Purdy and Pickett, Ridder and Purdy, or Willis and Purdy, Purdy's not going to do very good. And every one of those guys I just said would. It's the Shanahan system. And I will never forget this quote that was made at the end of the Dallas-San Francisco wildcard game in 2021-2022 season. The best word to describe the 49ers under Kyle Shanahan is innovative. Making the game easier for his players and harder on the opponents. That's the key to success in the NFL. It truly is. It truly and honestly is. And that's what he does. And this is why CJ Stroud has been successful this year. The San Francisco quarterback system is one of the best in the league. If you have a San Francisco offensive mind, like McDaniel, Swolick in Houston, the OC, Shanahan, whoever the people are running that offense now, Chris Forrester, whoever they are, the Shanahan system is a system in which every quarterback that uses it can succeed. That's why Tua is so good. That's why CJ Stroud's so good. That's why any 49ers quarterback is good. It's all the system and it's all coaching. I will tell you that right now. Jed York and John Lynch hit it out of the park with that hire. They saw this new offensive era coming. And now look at where they are. Amazing. This 49ers team's not getting beat anytime soon. They're going to just keep steamrolling teams. And it's not like anybody's going to figure them out either. You just love to see teams like this. Like San Francisco and Philly. I love watching those two teams go against each other. Because they both have what every team wants. Young offensive minds, amazing offenses. San Francisco showed it, and they're probably going to win the Super Bowl this year, to be honest. Philly needs work, but Philly's still at the top of their class, too. That's all I have to say about that. Now on to the upset that I called. Actually, I called this one. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 27-19 in Lambeau. Let's go. I was actually so happy. Believe it or not, the Packers won this game. Even though I'm a Lions fan, I was so happy to see the Packers win. I picked this upset. I knew this upset was coming all along. I just saw it. Credit to the Packers. Amazing game plan. This young offense is legit. They are the real deal. Something special is happening in Green Bay. Things are on the up there. So good job by the Packers. Great win. And this just shows you what good drafting does. Luke Musgrave, I think he might be the next Kelsey, that's for sure. If Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia that's going to go this year in the draft, isn't. Zane Reed, I read an article comparing him to Stephon Diggs. He's very good. Looking very good now. Just picked him up on my fantasy team. About to pick him up on another fantasy team tomorrow. Unfortunately, since Tank Dell is hurt now for the year, that sucks. Jones and Dillon, amazing running backs. Jordan Love, you gotta love Jordan Love. This defense, too, they're impressive. Everything about Green Bay is clicking, and Green Bay is amazing in December. So they're going to be a good team. They have it all. I can't wait to see this team. Hopefully they make the playoffs and make a deep run, but not against Detroit. I hope Detroit beats Green Bay in the NFC Championship. That's what I want to see. There's either one or two things I want to see happen. I just named one. Detroit beating Green Bay in the NFC Championship, or San Francisco, Philly won. That would be amazing, because this is truly the class of the NFC right now. Detroit's up there. They're getting closer to competing with those guys, but they're just not there yet, unfortunately. And don't get me wrong, I hate to say this, but if I think Green Bay had to go into San Francisco, they would get destroyed. 99% of teams would get destroyed by San Francisco. It's going to be interesting to see that game on Christmas Day. See how Baltimore plays with them, that's for sure. I can't wait for that one. As for the Chiefs, tough loss. They're struggling as of late. Perfect bounce back opportunity against the Bills this week. It's a big rivalry for sure. It'll be interesting to see how they do in that one. That's for sure. This was also the first time the Chiefs lost this year when Taylor Swift was in attendance. Kelce didn't have the best of days, but he still had a good day. So he does do good for sure once he's there. So good job by Kelce. Kelce. Moving down the wire now, we got the Monday night game, and this was interesting because I was afraid this one was going to end in a tie, and I would look like an idiot, but thank goodness it hasn't. Thank goodness we haven't had any ties this year. Again, knock on wood, fingers crossed. Hopefully we don't get any ties this year, for sure. Good win by the Bengals. They proved they could be good with Jake Browning. They beat a very good Jacksonville team in Jacksonville. Just opened up that division for sure for the Colts and the Texans. It'll definitely be interesting to see what happens there. Fingers crossed, prayers up too for Trevor Lawrence. I hope he's okay. I hope he gets better soon. Truly is an elite quarterback, so I hope he gets better. That's all I'm going to say there. Cincy, good win for them. They're right back in the AFC playoff picture. Jacksonville, they need help now. They still control their own destiny and all that, but they need help if they want to get a 1 seed or even win this division, as a matter of fact, because Houston and the Colts are creeping right behind them. So, definitely interesting times for sure. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this NFL Week 13 recap. We're in the nitty-gritty now. We have 5 more weeks of football to go. Cardinals and Commanders are the only 2 teams that have not had byes yet. They are on bye this coming week. So after this week, everybody will have had their byes. And we will only have 4 more weeks of football to go after this week. Definitely getting down to the nitty-gritty for sure. Nobody has clinched a playoff berth yet, not even the Philadelphia Eagles. They're probably about due to clinch one here either this week, next week, or Christmas. But they have a tough schedule coming up, so it'll be interesting. Philly and San Francisco, Detroit, they're probably about due. Same with Baltimore, Miami, those kind of teams too. It'll be interesting to see for sure how soon they clinch it. The only team that's been theoretically, mathematically eliminated from playoff contention are the Carolina Panthers. I would expect the New England Patriots to have the same outcome either this week or next week. Definitely interesting times for sure. It'll definitely be an interesting finish to this season. That's for sure. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. See you guys soon. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you around.